Kaiser, Mr. Strimmer, Mr. YouTuber, don't you feel stupid? Don't you feel dumb? You said Chucky was never going to be in the game, and now Chucky's in the game. Don't you feel dumb? Don't you feel stupid? Ha 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 ha. This age's like milk. Ha ha ha. No. No, I don't feel stupid because as it turns out, I don't possess a crystal ball with which to predict the future. I made a speculation about whether or not Chucky would ever work in Dead by Daylight. And as it turns out, some of the problems that come with his small size can still exist. But we'll talk about that more in a little bit. The first thing I want to give you guys is an actual disclaimer on this video. And that is, I barely got to play on the PTB. Nobody wanted to play Survivor today. It took 20 to 30 minutes to get a game most of the time. I tried playing against bots, but unfortunately, you can't properly test things against bots. Bots know where you are all the time, regardless of undetectable status or not. They don't try to mind game because they know where you are all the time. They are programmed to play as optimally when like doing things like dodging and shit like that as possible. And so it is very difficult to actively test something against bots. Of course, there's all that. And then sometimes the bots are just stupid and run into a rock and just look at you. That's the other problem, right? So testing this against real players, I only got to play 2 games of Chucky, and I basically got to play no real games of Trickster. So my opinions on Trickster are off of feeling alone, not how he actually plays against real people, right? So I just want to put that out there before we get into that. So I'm going to start with Trickster because I have less to say on him. I think me and everybody else overreacted. Trickster has definitely gotten stronger, but I don't think he's as powerful as we thought he is. I would put him in the low B tier, not bottom B, not like bottom teetering C, and not below everybody else on the B tier. I think he has jumped up quite a few slots. I just think that he's still the weakest of the ranged killers, and everything that they did to counterbalance the buffs is a little more effective than I originally expected. First off, the knives, I don't know what it is, but I guess it's my muscle memory trying to like overcompensate for a recoil that's not there anymore. But the knives do not feel fluid as they did. There is a problem, and my chat thought that maybe it might be a bug. I don't know. I'll leave it up to you. But every 5 blades, Trickster does this little pause, and then he'll throw 5 more. It's not a very long pause, but it's long enough to be noticeable. And so a lot of times if you're like missing blades and then you go to aim where you think a blade's going to hit, you're almost always going to be on that 6th blade, and the pause is going to happen, and then you're not going to throw a blade, and then you're going to have to overcorrect your aim again. So even without recoil, Trickster feels really awkward. And honestly, without the recoil, he feels less fluid than he used to. Main event. The main event changes, I'm gonna be completely honest with you, having it only last 5 seconds basically makes main event the most useless fucking ability, right? Old main event was bad because of its timer, and all anybody ever wanted was to be able to hold on to the main event for like an actual length of time, right? We wanted to be able to charge it and then wait to use it, like Oni's power, for example. Right? Forcing us to use the main event every 60 seconds was dog shit. Here, making the main event only last 5 seconds kind of over nerfs it. So you get main event more often, but it's almost never worth using. Now, if you have the death throws compilation, it's perfect. You throw some blades, you injure, you main event them. Maybe they go down, maybe they don't. But the point is that you never have to worry about lockers again. You never have to wander around the map looking for lockers to reload. Death throws compilation is probably his best add-on simply because of the free reload after a 5-second main event. That doesn't even have to go 5 seconds. You can click it back off. Whoop, he's reloaded again. That's, in all honesty, that's probably Trickster's best add-on now. But I did things like, I did this combo with the dancing shoes, which makes you move faster while throwing blades, and his new photo card, which gives him 1% haste whenever you land blades. And it doesn't do what you think it does. One of the biggest problems is landing the blades. The old playstyle of Trickster is to hold down your right click, and then when they're in your LOS, just start throwing and keep your crosshair on them as much as you can. crosshair. You get what I mean. But now you can't do that. Every knife basically has to have intent. It takes more to get the laceration meter up. And because of that little pause, holding down the button doesn't do anything for you. Zigzagging is actually way more effective than it used to be. When I was going against the bots were zigzagging, and I'm trying to track them, but because of that little pause and just the awkwardness of how he feels now, he's so much less fluid. I thought when I read that his blades were going to be a flat throw rate instead of a buildup, I thought that was beautiful. But it honestly just doesn't feel good to play. And I don't know if it's because it's buggy or the intention and it makes it completely awkward. So while I do definitely think that Trickster is more powerful, I don't believe that he has jumped as far as everybody has said he is. But maybe once I'm able to play him in like actual matches for a little bit, maybe my opinion will change. And if it does, I'll let you know. Unfortunately, I didn't run into anybody who had a made for this, so I can't tell you if it makes a difference. But what I will tell you is that basically nothing changed with Red Forest. They said they shrunk the size, but I didn't notice. They said they cleaned up some of the vegetation, but I didn't notice. I really didn't notice the difference on either of the maps. I even went into custom games after stream and just walked around, and there's just no difference. There's no difference. Garden of Jagos, on the other hand, is still strong. It's still going to be one of the most survivor-sided maps in the game, but the main building now has a breakable wall in the kitchen, so you can't empty that long window anymore. And I also think, I'm not sure on this, don't quote me on this, but I think they shortened the distance of the hallway. So you can't empty loop that window anymore. There's another breakable wall upstairs that leads to the long stretch that would let you jump out the window and fall all the way down. I don't recommend you break either of these doors. Both of these are either of these walls. Both of these walls are there to stop the survivors from turning the loop into an infinite. And I can guarantee you they're very good at that. It's still strong though. It's still incredibly strong, but it's not as strong as it was. That being said, there are also the two loops that, so you go across from main building, you go across the street, the two loops that were basically right next to each other and incredibly powerful, especially because they could be chained, have now gotten a significant amount of distance between the two. It's not so much that you still can't chain them, but it's not so close that now the chaining creates an infinite. So the Garden of Jagos rework did pretty well. Now on to the one you've all been waiting for, Chucky. To be honest with you, I love this little bastard. He is so fucking funny. It is so bizarre to watch. A very common thing I said throughout the PTB testing today when people would ask me about Chucky is, I love the spectacle of Chucky. I love his Mori. I love his voice lines. I love his animations. I love the fact that he's a tiny little dude chasing you around. I love this fucking killer. Gameplay wise, I have some concerns. They made him a chase killer with a little stealth element, and I really wanted a stealth killer with chase elements, but I understand that they're not going to rework an entire power just for me and my, 3,600 subscribers. But I would like to improve it just a bit. I think that the hidey-ho mode, it lasts 20 seconds now. I think that's too short. I think 30 would be a better thing. And I think that he either needs to be 4.6 with his 32, or he needs to have 24 with his 4.4. I think having 4.4 movement with a 32 meter terror radius is bullshit. You are not as fast as you should be, and you don't get a haste effect in hidey-ho mode. I thought you did. It makes it look like you do, but you don't move faster in hidey-ho mode, as far as I can tell. You have your lunge. I think that it's a little bit short, but I think that it has a lot of skill cap potential. I was watching Lilith play, and of course this motherfucker already learned hug teching with it. And you can pull off some dumb shit with the slice and dice. They call it the slice and dice. I call it a lunge. You can pull up some dumb shit. It's really fun to use. I will say that it's got like a very intuitive system. The second change I would make to it, or the third change I'd make to Chucky, is I would make the slice and dice automatically swing when you would hit a survivor, similar to how Demo or Billy works. So, with Demo and Billy, like if you charge your stuff and then you launch and they're right in front of you, it'll just happen. With Chucky, you have to let go when you think you're gonna hit. And so you can end up like slice and dice running right into them and not hit them. That takes a little getting used to, and I think that needs to be taken out and it needs to be an auto swing. But that's just me. So the slice and dice is really fun. I did end up coming up with some really fun builds. I will say that Plaything is probably going to be his most powerful add-on. The thing about Chucky is because he's so small, he's hard to spot visually. And when you're like looping him at something like Shack, he's shorter than the window. And because he's shorter than the window, you don't really know where he's at. The third person camera also lets you spot check. So I want to say this, despite the flaws in Chucky, there's a lot of potential I didn't get to test and play around with that I am 110% sure makes him a middle to high B tier killer. A lot of Chucky's weaknesses comes from the fact that he feels awkward to use. If they iron out some of that awkwardness and tweak some of his numbers, I can very easily see him being an A tier killer. But he is only an A tier killer if you understand how mind gaming works. And I'm not going to lie to you, having survivor experience will greatly help you with this killer. Let's talk about his perks, and then I'll let you guys go for the day. For Chucky's perks, so you've got the first one that caught my eye was the Hex perk. 2 can play. On the surface, like, here's the thing. I love the idea. If they blind or stun you 2 times, a perk lights up, the Hex lights up. And when it lights up, they can, if they blind or stun you again while the Hex is lit, then they get blinded for 1.5 seconds, which is completely memey and funny because I hate being blinded. So fuck the rest of you. Anybody who knows me knows I have a great distaste for flashlights. Being blinded hurts my fucking eyes. But on top of that, I just hate it. So it'd be really funny to have them be blinded. The problem is that all this perk does is be really funny. It doesn't actually have a use. So I would change it by 1, removing its Hex. It is just an activatable perk that activates after you've been stunned or blind 2 times. 2, the next time you would be stunned or blinded, it instead blinds the survivor for 1.5 seconds. The reason I say that is because then you actually have counterplay to being stunned. Oh, but it would fuck up flashlight saves. I cannot tell you how little I give a shit. But moving on. Battery life is probably his best add-on because it has the most consistent value. So battery life says whenever you get within a certain amount of distance to a hook or to a completed generator, you get 5% haste for like 3 or 4 seconds or something like that. I'd have to go back and read it. This perk is extremely good as an in-game perk. And I actually did a build with it where I did fire up, battery life, Noed, and Blood Warden. I'd probably take out the Blood Warden for No Way Out, but it's stupid. You get the 7% haste from Noed, then you stack the 5% haste from battery life, then you pick up, break, volt, all this other dumb shit faster. And on top of that, during his hidey ho mode, you can scurry to volt faster. So like with fire up, it's insane. You move at a stupid fast pace when that last generator pops, and that map becomes your playground. But I don't even think you need an in-game build for it. I think it's just a generally good, consistent perk that helps you the more that the game moves on. And the meter range is obvious. Like think about something like mid-bitch, for example, or Gideon's, right? A generator completed on the bottom floor, you're chasing some jackass on the top floor, and all of a sudden you get a speed boost. So it's a pretty consistent speed boost that I really enjoy. Oh, I'm sorry. I worded it wrong. You get the speed boost as long as you're within that distance of the generator, and then it lingers for a certain amount of seconds. So I think battery life's probably his best add-on. The third one is, I think it's called Who Wants to Play? Something like that. Whenever you hook the obsession, another survivor, I think it's the furthest survivor from you, I'd have to look again. They scream, reveal their location, and become the obsession. Whenever you hook someone who's not the obsession has their auras revealed, and they are exposed for 20 seconds. This sounds really good on the surface, but 20 seconds is not that long for a status effect. I think that if it was 30 seconds, it would be great. But 20 seconds is just short enough that you are not going to be able to take advantage of it on most killers. It's very similar to Hubris, right? It gives you a really good exposed effect, but 20 seconds isn't as long as you think it is. And so when you're going to go to take this into effect, it's not going to work that well. So I think that it's going to do good on characters like Blight, Freddy, Sadako, Demo, these characters that can get across the map quickly. It'll be great on. But other than that, it's not going to be that good. That's not to say that it doesn't have a pretty decent effect. I'm just saying that it's not going to be as good as you would like it to be. But that's it, guys. That's all my thoughts on the PTB. Once again, I'm sorry that I couldn't give you like more detailed stuff. It was just, it didn't work out that way. If I get to play more of the PTB later tonight after I get back from everything I got to do, and I find more stuff to talk about, I will definitely let you guys know in the Discord or on Twitch or even a community post here. I'll update myself. But other than that, Chucky's great. Trickster's okay. Nothing happened to Red Forest. Changes of Garden of Jagovs are good. What the fuck is made for this? And before we get out of here, as always, a special thank you to my channel members, Peter RJ, Cinegrim, The Cannibal Main, Alex Balex, Tabasco Raccoon, Spirit Upgrades, and Nuclear Bomb for their additional support. If you want to know how to get thanked at the end of videos, as well as do things like see videos before they release, then make sure you click that join button down below. I love you guys so much, and I will see you tomorrow.